I work at Bellevue Honda, and we're going to see exactly how much people pay for their car per month. Hey, Ike, how much your car payment? All right, take two.
$0.
What's your car payment, and what do you drive?
About $800, and I drive a 2024 Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport.
What's your car payment, and what do you drive?
2015 BMW M3. My car payment's $699.
What's your car payment, and what do you drive?
600. Record.
What's your car payment, and what do you drive?
I drive a 2001 Civic, 0 car payment.
What's your car payment, and what do you drive?
My payment is $620. I have a 21 Accord 2.0 Turbo. I also have a 1991 Civic SI, no payments.
What's your car payment, what do you drive?
2024 Accord, $450.
Hey y'all, it's Meg, and I am a funder at one of the biggest banks in the US, and I've looked at probably thousands and thousands of car loan contracts over my 7 years of experience, including 1 year initially being in loan servicing, which pretty much just means I was talking to customers, collecting payments and handling different issues that they may have. So I've seen a lot of things in the industry in these 7 years, which is crazy to think about it being that long. Just me saying that out loud sounds crazy. Today, I just wanted to take a look into the car salesman car payments. Now, to me, in this first clip, I don't feel like the majority of these guys' payments aren't really that bad. A couple of them have no payments, which I'm always going to say is the biggest flex. But a lot of them sound about right. They sound on average. Now, in my personal opinion, I feel that the guy paying the $700 a month for the 2015 M3, I think that's a little excessive. But what I'm going to continue to stress is that you need to know the additional details. Now, if he bought this car in, let's say, 2022 and it had 80,000 miles on it, yeah, we could say it's probably not the best of deals. But if he bought it in 2020, which I doubt, but if he bought it in 2020 and, he got like a 6-7 year term, not the greatest, and the car maybe had like 20 to 30,000 miles on it, then, it's not as bad. So it just all depends on what the additional details of the terms are, because that makes the biggest difference. Now, if he bought that car at 60 months and is paying that much, it makes a lot more sense as to why it's so expensive. Me personally, I don't think that's the case, but I think that as long as you don't I know there's people out there who don't always want the latest and greatest. Like, some people could just want it for the badge, essentially. I think that's what this the young guys these days, they're all about the BMW M3s and everything. I think that's the most sought after cars for guys in that age range. A lot of people might not mind that it's a little older, but they still get the engine and the aesthetics, quote unquote, of it. But it might not have all the latest technology, which it might not be as bad, because it might be a better built car than a 2025 one. I mean, let's be for real. I don't know. I feel like being so young, of course, I don't know his history. I kind of feel like he could have gotten something a little bit more manageable, because to be so young and have a $700 car payment, which might be his first ever car, I think that's a little much. But of course, he could have had a car that was given to him. He may have had like a cash car beforehand. Of course, we don't know the details, but not the worst that I've heard ever. But it's a little excessive. I kind of feel like the guy who has the Volkswagen Atlas 800 seems a little high, but I guess I do have to take into account that that the Atlas is the Volkswagen's like probably most expensive car. So depending on his terms as well, if he bought it brand new, I could get with it. But if he bought it used and it had a decent amount of mileage on it, and he got it for like a 72 to 84 month term, could be better, not the greatest, but again, he's under 1,000 for an SUV, so I don't think that it's horrible. Now, I'm always gonna say in all of my videos, car payments are a relative thing. What's expensive to one person might not be bad to others, and you never know people's financial situation. That's always what I like to stress. And yeah, just because I don't want to ever pay an $800 payment, some people don't mind that. And I do also feel like, we only live once at the same time. And if it's something you want and you work hard and it's not going to put you in a financial burden, I also think that there's nothing wrong with that either. But yeah, a lot of these guys actually have decent payments, in my opinion. Again, you guys, if you see this, may think that $500 or $600 for a Accord is crazy, but of course we need to know the terms, because if it's brand new, I don't think that that's a bad deal at all. But if he bought it used with a considerable amount of mileage on it, then it might not be the greatest of deals. You just need to know what the APR and what the interest charge is going to be, and then you could get a better picture.
How is it that the average car payment in the US is $700 a month? Like, I'm not trying to be mean here, but if you are taking on a $700 a month car payment, I'm sorry, but you are not all the way there in the head, and I think you need to listen to this video. I know that everybody needs to have a car, but it does not mean that you need to have a 2026 or 2027 brand new vehicle. You can drive a normal car like I have, pay it off, or take on a car payment, but it's only $200 a month. You do not have to have the brand new car, the nice fancy Mercedes, or a big lifted truck. You just need a car to get you from A to B to make money. I don't really understand why people think they need to take on all this debt, because the reality is that $700 could go to investing instead. Or if you still have to have a car payment, at least you can invest the difference, right? So let's say you get a car payment for $200 a month instead of $700 a month. You make a sacrifice and then you invest the difference, those $500 that you were going to strap yourself down to a car payment with. Well, you better your life and invest it instead. Reality is, people who are financially smart, they get this, and they will never put themselves in a bad position when it comes to borrowing or leveraging debt in the wrong way.
I definitely see where he's coming from, and I agree. I feel that, especially if you're young, now to me, I feel that, when you're in a different place in life, things just vary just on your thought process and everything. But I feel that, like, if you're young and you're just graduating from college or even high school sometimes, and let's say if you get a good job, sometimes, especially guys, they can get like a relatively good job right out of high school, depending on what it is. Or if you're graduating from college, there's no reason why you need to run and go get a $700-800 car or more. Like, I get it, especially when you're in like a top career where you're out the gate might be making six figures. That does not mean you need to go and run and get that high of a payment yet. Like, walk before you can run. Good first car payment, if you have to have one, would be somewhere around the 300 mark. I think would be decent, depending on what kind of money you're bringing in. Now, I feel that especially like when you're coming out of school, you're just figuring things out, even though you may have had a college dorm or you had a college apartment with roommates. Like, let's say if you're ready to move out and live on your own and you have that rent to take care of by yourself, you're having to pay insurance off of a car that's expensive, and it's a lot of things all at once. So you don't want to be right out of the gate spending that type of money. So it's best just to get something reasonable to where like you can earn and stack up your money and save to where you can get what you want later once you're more stable and you have things figured out more. And like he said, you can invest that money. The earlier you could start investing, the better. I wish I had done that. And it's something, honestly, that I'm trying to figure out how to do. Like, I definitely want to figure out ways to invest more, because I feel that's very important to have multiple streams of income. That's something that we don't talk about enough, in my opinion, especially with how the job market is and how you could lose your job in the snap of a finger. But also, to his point, if you're 40, 50 years old and you're making, say six figures, 200,000, like you're established in your career, that $700, it's still a lot, depending, of course, it depends on the car and the year. And like I said, it all depends on the details. But if that person is established in their career and they can still make that $700 payment along with putting $500 off aside for investing, that's a different story. So it just really all depends on who you're kind of telling this to, because I would definitely not advise for anyone young to be paying that much in a car payment. I never paid that much. In fact, my car payment, my first one, and the kicker is I didn't get my first car payment until I was 30, almost 31 years old. So in my first car payment, I had no choice, and it was under $200 a month. And I was so thankful for that car, and I paid it off, and I finally was able to trade it in to get the car that I was dreaming about for the past 6-7 years. So it just all goes to show, like, once you work for it, it's going to be so much better than if you try to think you're rewarding yourself right out the gate and you're overextending yourself. And it just leads to problems down the road with your credit and your finances, to where it's hard to bounce back from.
At some point, we have to stop coming on here and screaming that having a car payment is bad and that you should never have one, because I think that is a privileged way of thinking. Not everyone has a car available that they can borrow to get to and from work. Not everyone has people that are willing to take them to and from work. Not a lot of people have public transportation accessible to them that can get them to and from work while they save for a car. Having a car payment are some people's only way of getting to work and staying afloat.
I agree with his take on this as well. People's situations are always going to differ between person to person. A lot of the times you'll find people who are living in the state that you're in with no family or no, friends that they could depend on to ask to bring them to and from work or wherever they need to go. So sometimes having a car payment is necessary. I know there's a lot of people out there, because you see it on social media and other places, but there's people that have like, hey, I have a 1995 this, I have a 2001 that, and I will never buy a car ever again as long as I can keep it running. And I'm like, I clap to those folks, because I wish it could be me. But me personally, I have car anxiety, and I will pay a car payment to make sure that I'm good. That's just me, though. A lot of people, they're like, hey, if this car dies in the middle of the road and I just have to go lift up the hood of the car and knock on the battery 3 times and she runs again, that's good enough for me. And again, I say you just have to do whatever works for you. But there are a lot of people who just need it. And it's not about like those who just want to always have the newest vehicle. Sometimes some people just have bad luck with cars, and that's how I used to feel. It really just depends. So don't come at people who have car payments. Let's not knock people who need to have a car payment or just chooses to do so, because you never know what people's needs are and what makes people feel more comfortable. And because I know around here, like, there's technically transportation when you go downtown, like public transit, I should say, but like the train and the lines, they don't run up here where I live. It all is closer to like the downtown area and like to go to the airport and everything. Not everybody has transportation like taxis and all that. They don't have that here. It's either you're getting a ride from somebody or you're Uber or Lyfting. So yeah, I definitely get what he means by that. So let's not be as judgmental when we hear people who have car payments, you guys. We got to give them some grace. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, of course, I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye. See ya later.